Okay, comrade. The Russian Nightmare Nikita here. Tune in and listen to the Undisputed Wrestling Show. I tear your stinking head right off your body. Je to it.
You're listening to the Undisputed Wrestling Show with your hosts, the Prophet, Rick Craig, the Bearded Wonder, Zane Paisley, and the Morning Star, William Huckabee.
The Undisputed Wrestling Show is now.
And that it is. I am your Prophet, Rick Craig, once again in the host chair, ready to go for another episode of the Undisputed Wrestling Show. And I am very proud to introduce my buddy and partner in crime, the Bearded Wonder himself, Zane Paisley. CP, how art thou?
I am doing excellent. We had a great time at Intense Championship Wrestling on Saturday night. Can't wait to do it again.
That's right. We'll see if we have some time. We'll hopefully get to talk a little bit about that here later in the show as well. The show is brought to you, as always, by the AngryMarks Podcast Network, where you can find the greatest in professional wrestling and mixed martial arts podcasting and news. This week on Monday nights, 11:30 p.m., we got the Raw Reaction. Of course, the Undisputed Wrestling Show every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. These are all Eastern time, by the way. Wednesday, Glove Up or Shut Up at 9 o'clock p.m. Thursday, the Angry Marks podcast itself, AMP, at 9 o'clock. Friday, at 9 in the morning, the Impact Implosion, and then 9 at night, Over the Top Radio. Then Saturday and Sunday on demand, the SmackDown Rundown. So that is your lineup from the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Also, we are brought to you by the T-Shirt World Order, where you can find some of your favorite wrestlers, like the franchise, Troy Miller, Congo Kong, and several others, including the Undisputed Wrestling Show. Get your very own, the Undisputed Wrestling Show, let's say that fast 5 times, VP, the Undisputed Wrestling Show shirt for $5 off tonight by entering, if you go to the website at www.tshirtworldorder.com and enter the code in the promo box of FREEZE, 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 you will get $5 off of your order tonight. So check out tshirtworldorder.com. Also, before we get to our guests, check out also the website of the Undisputed Wrestling Show, www.theundisputedswrestlingshow.weebly.com, where you can find out all of our upcoming guests and check out every single episode we've done in the nearly 2 years of existence of this show. It's just an awesome time to be able to catch up with some of the stars that we've had on the show, including the one we have tonight. Hour number 2, Abominable CPA will be joining us, but leading off in hour number 1, this man has been on our show before. In fact, I was just telling you about the Undisputed Wrestling Show's website. Go check out, good grief, it's been a year and a half, VP.
Wow.
Glacier was joining us back in September of the year of 2013 is last time we got to talk to this man. But joining us now on the Undisputed Wrestling Show, Glacier is here to join us. Ray,
yeah, how you guys doing tonight? I'm doing awesome,
great.
Guys. Awesome. Good. Good to hear.
Absolutely great. You know what? Can you believe it's been a year and a half since we've talked to you?
No, when you were just saying that, it just does not seem like it's been that long. It really doesn't.
No, it just seems like a few months ago we were chatting about your career. And so all you listeners out there who want to catch up on the career of Ray Lloyd as Glacier or Buzz or any of his other characters that he's played in professional wrestling, I advise you to go check out that particular podcast. Go revisit it and listen about the entire career of Ray Lloyd. Tonight, we're just going to have fun with Ray. We've already been there, done that. So we're going to go on and chat with him about some other things that may be going on in the world of wrestling today and Ray's life here later on in the podcast. You know what?
Absolutely.
The first thing I wanted to do and get out of the way is talk about gimmicks, Ray. I think the interesting thing is when I posted on the social networks and stuff like that you were coming on the show, some knuckleheads had the audacity to say who would want to talk to Glacier. I think a lot of people, whether we like it or not, universally believe the Glacier gimmick was a failure. Ray,
Yeah.
do you feel the gimmick was a failure, and if so, why?
No, actually, I don't. And and that's the thing. I mean, I've people, I can tell you this: in the 28 years now I've been in the wrestling business, and of course during that whole run in WCW, the thing that most people have to look at is that first of all, I don't know any wrestler's career who ever went exactly the way they thought the career was going to go. So, I mean, did I ever, when I got to wrestling, did I ever, think in a million years that I would become Glacier and do that type of a gimmick? No, I never did. But the thing is that, this is the one thing that most people tend to forget is one, I signed in January of 96, and I was there basically up until my contract ran out a couple months before we got bought out in 01. And, this is what I always tell people. If it was, I don't see how you can classify anything as a failure because I was under contract for 5 years, basically, the last 5 years, the greatest 5 years arguably in wrestling history, during that period of the Monday Night Ratings War. I was, a solid member of that roster, arguably, once again, one of the greatest rosters in wrestling history. Hogan, Flair, Macho Man, Dallas Page, Bret Hart, Goldberg. I mean, you go down the road. And so the thing is that, I wasn't, the Glacier gimmick, if people go back and look, it wasn't a flash in the pan. I mean, I was there for quite a long time. I did the Glacier thing, and of course I stepped away. And of course, when the booking committee changed hands, which happened on a regular basis during that time, I kind of changed with the times. I went to do the coach post thing for a while. And then, Terry Taylor, who's just always been a great friend, but also a very good advisor to me in the wrestling business, he had the idea to bring the Glacier gimmick back, near the end of, and I teamed up with Norman Smiley and had a great time doing some stuff for that. But no, and this is why, to me, one of the main reasons why, to me, it was a success is I haven't been on TV now in 14 years. Okay. I put my address on my Facebook page, just in case people might want to get in touch with me. To this day, I still get fan mail. To this day, I just got 2 letters on Thursday of last week, and for people to take the time. First of all, to me, it's a huge, huge honor and thrill when I see anything that comes in the mail that's from a wrestling fan because I was a wrestling fan, I was a fan first, and to have impacted somebody's life enough to where they sit down and they write to me. 14 years. Since I've been on television, to me, that's a huge success. I impacted a lot of lives, and all the response I've gotten over the years from people in wrestling, the wrestling fans, whatever. Overall, it's been mostly positive. I mean, I get it. Look, I get it. I mean, it was a gimmicky type character. A lot of people have always come back and said, well, maybe the timing wasn't right on or whatever. But let's face it. I mean, when the NWO came along, everything took a backseat to the NWO. So it didn't matter what anybody else was doing. Everything became a very distant second to that. And so, but once again, I was there. I was a good, solid mid-card talent, during that whole era when everybody was watching wrestling. And I held my own proudly. I've gone back and looked at my matches over the years in WCW. I honestly, maybe 2 or 3 matches I would consider not up to par by my standards. Other than that, I went out there every night and I had a goal, which is to give the fans 100%, give them more than their money's worth. And I feel like I did that. I feel like it impacted wrestling fans. And like I said, the overwhelming response that I've gotten over the years has been more positive, much more positive than negative. But hey, like I said, I get it. I get what the people that are critical of it. I mean, like I said, one of the guys who influenced me in my career was Lou Thesz. Can you imagine what that conversation was like when I had to call Lou Thesz and ask it to say this is what they want me to do? Trust me. I mean, I get it.
And, the interesting thing, Ray, is when I look back on things, I think the gimmick kind of got caught up in the time. If it was the 80s, you would have been one of the biggest stars that ever hit a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind. But by the mid-90s, the reality base of the NWO, it seemed like the gimmick, the superheroes of Glacier and Mortis and people like that had more of a gimmick face to them seemed to get swept in the dust when it came to the popularity. And if people want to say Glacier was a failure, good grief, people still talk about you today, don't they?
Exactly. And the thing is that here's what great things came out of that gimmick. If I would just been, look at how many, like you said, more of that reality-based, wrestling gimmicks. There's not that many of those guys that are remembered today. Then there'll be other stuff, of course, yeah. A lot of the other guys, they were kind of they had their time, and then they kind of faded into obscurity, into wrestling obscurity, so to speak. I'm still, like, for example, I'm booked for the New England Fan Fest coming up in late June. Because of that gimmick, and because I show up and I'm in that gimmick, trust me, I mean, it's something that has allowed me to continue to connect with wrestling fans and enjoy, being in the wrestling business. And if I would have just been, another guy with a wrestling name, that wouldn't have been so much of, a persona built around it, who's to say I'd even be doing this show right now?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, one of my buddies said to me one time, which I thought was a nice compliment, but it also made a lot of sense. This is a guy from the journalism business, so he understands, characters and names and stuff like that, and what sells and what doesn't. And he always said to me, he said, Ray, he said, the Glacier, he goes, to the wrestling world, or to anybody who just, sees that gimmick, even if they haven't heard of it, it just sounds like something they should have heard of. so
right.
It's kind of something that people go, wow, I think I might have heard of that guy. I think I might have seen him, And so, it just kind of has that persona. And that's why, like, I do appearances now. I mean, thank God that I still look, almost like I did when I was on TV. I mean, years catch up with all those. But I do the appearances, and, that's, and I can pretty much, I can give them that same look that they saw on TV 15, 16, 17 years ago, And so, so it's for me, I can tell you this, I wouldn't have traded it for the world. I mean, was there some things I would have liked to have seen, that would have gone differently? Sure. But then, like I said, I mean, anybody can say that, but the thing I was just telling a buddy of mine I had dinner with earlier tonight, what did that gimmick bring to me? Well, it brought to me the fact that I got to wrestle in some of the greatest arenas, in this world. I was watching the whole world was watching the fight on Saturday night. I'm sitting there looking, thinking, wow, I've wrestled in that exact same arena several times. I mean, that's, so I don't consider the whole Glacier thing to me was far from a failure.
Ray, I'm going to say this, and to the knuckleheads who had the audacity to write that down in one of my promotions of you coming on the show tonight, for anybody to dismiss wanting to hear Ray Lloyd take on the business just because maybe the gimmick didn't shoot to the moon like WCW had hoped, it doesn't mean Ray Lloyd stinks. It doesn't mean Ray Lloyd couldn't wrestle. It doesn't mean, it just means that particular gimmick didn't go over to the level that they thought it would be. Ray Lloyd is one of the classiest, nicest gentlemen in the wrestling business that I've had the opportunity to talk to. I'm pleased and thrilled to be able to talk to you.
Wow, thank you, Rick. That means a lot. And, and honestly, I mean, like I said, to go back and say, was it everything I envisioned it might be, of course not. But there was still a lot of good that came from it. I mean, even now when I do shows, when I do appearances now, kids that weren't even born when I was on TV, because I have this kind of superhero type look, I have a whole new fan base of kids that weren't even around when I was wrestling on TV. But, of course, because of the WWE Network, I'm kind of getting almost like a second run. Apparently, I've heard from several people that I appear on there a lot, which is kind of nice. And, and it's one of the things, too, that, like, Terry Taylor, I go back to Terry Taylor, one time he and I were talking, and I remember him talking about, it's as great of a career as Terry Taylor had, as great of a wrestler as he was, a lot of people tend to only remember him for the period when he did the Red Rooster thing in WWF.
Right.
And I remember him saying one time, he said, Vince told me that this was a smart move and people are going to remember me, when I did this. And he said, here I am, all these years in the business, and the one thing people talk about the most is the Red Rooster thing. So the people that say it was a colossal failure or whatever, well, maybe Vince actually knew what he was doing. Because that is one of our main goals in wrestling. The worst thing any wrestler could ever experience is to be forgotten. And my gimmick, I don't think it will ever be forgotten. And if it's still talked about and people still look at it, you're always going to have, the fans and the critics, always, and that's what makes the world go round. But But, if I can be remembered, now and 20 years from now for my contribution to the wrestling business, whether some people think it wasn't what that gimmick had no business in wrestling or whatever, I get that. So be it, but I don't take it personal. I look at it and I say, it was a great ride for me. Becoming Glacier gave me an opportunity to live a dream, and to entertain, thousands of people. And that was my goal, was to always, like I said, always give people their money's, more than their money's worth. And people, I think, related to the Glacier gimmick a lot, because, like I said, to see kids, come up and they look at me like I'm a superhero or something, because that's what the gimmick kind of looks like, then I had fun with it. I just say, okay, well, these are the people that embrace it, and then the ones who don't embrace it, I understand. I respect that.
Well, let's shift gears for a little bit. This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show, and we have the great pleasure of talking to Glacier this evening. Do you keep up with the business still today? Do you still watch what's on TV, keep up with the independent scene or any of that?
Yeah, I try to as much as possible. Actually, I was just watching the E60 thing on ESPN earlier tonight, where they did the thing. And Austin Watson, one of the guys that's now in New Day, I actually helped Austin. I had a hand in helping him get his start back in up in Marietta, Georgia, when he started. And so yeah, it's really, really nice. I don't take any credit for what Austin's accomplished, but I just, it's nice to see someone who had a vision and had a goal, and I tell you what, he went through a lot of disappointments along the way too, but he kept plugging away, and now here he is. He's the subject of a documentary, and also he's doing a nice little run there on WWE right now. So
which one are you talking about, Ray?
Austin, what's Austin? So I think his last name's Austin Watson, but he now one of the New Day. Yeah, Xavier Woods, yeah. So,
Xavier Woods.
And Consequences Creed and TNA, and he was awesome there, too.
Right. Yeah, and I'll tell you what most people don't know is the way the whole Consequences Creed thing. It used to go with Austin Creed on the indie circuit. One of the older indie wrestlers back that was with a group that I was doing some work with, and they all kind of, when Austin started, he actually had some trunks that were like the red, white, and blue, kind of like what Apollo Creed wore in the first Rocky. And he actually gave those to Austin, and he started wearing that. And he just kind of adopted the Creed name to go along with it, and kind of, that was kind of, and so yeah, and then so this is now the next chapter of that whole evolution of his career. So, but yeah, I try to follow the business as much as possible. I don't get a chance to watch. I don't watch Raw every week, but I do. I have a couple of internet outlets that I check on, and just get updates on what's going on. And because it's like I said, it wasn't just my job. Wrestling's my passion, and I want to be able to follow it. I want wrestling to be great. I always want it to be great. Not just for the people wrestling, but the fans too. I think it's. I like the fact that wrestling is going back to being more family friendly, because I've always felt like that's a much better sell. So I'm glad to see that.
Okay, Ray, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit then. You are now a promoter. You have your own business. You've got your own company. You want to bring the best product that you possibly can. You get to pick 4 cornerstones, 4 pillars to start your company with. Who are the 4 that you choose?
Oh, wow. That's 4 of all time?
Present, not past. No, not of all time. Present day competitors. Who would you choose, and why would you choose them?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, that's a really good question. I'll tell you, one of the first things I would do is I would bring back Jim Mitchell, who did the manager James Vandenberg when we were at WCW, and then he did Sinister Minister and ECW and all that stuff. I think he's probably one of the greatest talkers of the last 30 years in the business. And God bless him, he's still a great friend of mine, but that's not why I recommend him. He's, I so wish that they would usher in more managers again, because
I agree.
I think it could really help. So many people who have the talent but just don't have that ability to talk people into the building, so to speak. So yeah, I'd bring him back, and I'd put him with someone like Roman Reigns, and then however that could configure. I think Roman Reigns is a heck of an athlete. But I think the one thing he needs is just exactly what Brock Lesnar has. He needs a mouthpiece that can, get people talk people into the arena to see him. gosh, I mean, I tell you, it's a hard thing to answer there. I'm trying because there's a lot of
I should have prepped you ahead of time for this one, Ray.
Yeah, so, but obviously, there's The Rock is but even though he's kind of part-time now, obviously, or not even part-time really, but you couldn't go wrong with him. Let me think. I'm trying to think of just all the young talent that I see out there that could be somebody I would think I could, we could build something around. One of the people that I really still like a lot, I've met him a couple times briefly, but he probably wouldn't even remember it. But John Morrison, now he's doing on the El Rey network. I watch that a lot, the Robert Rodriguez network, and he's still, he's kind of carrying that company right now, and he still looks great. I mean, he's a heck of an athlete. He always seems to go, full bore when he's in the ring, which is something I really respect, because I see a lot of times guys who think they're giving it all, but I can tell they're not. When they may be convincing themselves they're all good, but there's that gear you can go to that a lot of people don't get to. But Morrison, and I know he's doing a different gimmick and basically the same gimmick, different name. But
hey, Ray, you're in NXT territory down there. What kind of NXT guys did you pick?
Yeah. Actually, most people went out to this. I actually mainly work with Full Sail University, which is where NXT tapes their show for the WWE Network, and
right.
And I'm doing that. I'm also doing my health and wellness business on the side. We can talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I'm right down the road from the training center. I still haven't had a chance to go in there yet, which I'm really looking forward to maybe doing that here sometime in the near future. But I've been to the NXT taping. I tell you what, they have really developed NXT into its own brand. They really have. And it's really, to me, it's kind of like the modern day championship wrestling from Florida. It really is. I mean, they have a huge loyal following and they do shows all over the state of Florida. So I think it's a great thing for the wrestling business. I think it's a great thing for, I think it's a great thing for WWE to give them a chance to evaluate firsthand, the potential talent that's trying to make it to that main roster. So it's a great thing. I would highly encourage anyone who's down in Florida in the Orlando area to definitely try to catch a taping, because NXT is set up. It literally, to me, looks almost exactly like the Monday Night Raw set, just in a slightly smaller venue. But you still get that look and that feel of the main show, really. So it's definitely it's exciting to see that, because it's like I said, it just gives a lot of up and coming talent the opportunity to show what they can do and see if they can make the cut.
All right. Glacier, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it, and it doesn't seem like it's been a year and a half since we talked with you, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about what's going on with you here in just a moment. But I did want to ask you a quick question. I loved the era that you were in WCW. As you said, that it was the biggest time in professional wrestling history. I don't know if you've seen on the WWE Network, they had Legends House, where they had some stars from the 80s on there. I would love to see them do a WCW version. And so if you were selected as a castmate for this, who would be some of the guys that you'd like to share a house with for a couple months? That would make interesting television.
This could be interesting.
That's one of them would be Haku, because he was in WWF before he came to WCW, but mainly because if we have him in the house, you never have to worry about him breaking into the house and making anything.
Let me pause you right there. I actually was watching the network earlier today, and I was watching your match with the Faces of Fear from World War III. I think it was in '98. Is that guy as tough as everybody says he is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And he's a dear friend of mine, lives here in the Orlando area, and I can tell you right now, there's not even a close second. Not even a close second. And even in the twilight of his wrestling years now, I wouldn't bet against him for nothing. But and Tonga is. He's just such that's the great thing about him. He's such a sweetheart of a guy. He has one of the biggest hearts you'd ever want to meet. Just such a kind and gentle soul until unless he has to flip that switch. And if he does, get out of the way. But I definitely am. Diamond Dallas Page would be another one. Dallas is, like I always say, kind of like my crazy big brother. The thing is, though, I mean, the Page being there, that would be, would be Page trying to run the show the whole time, which he loves to do. But, gosh, I'd love to bring back Billy Kidman. Kidman was a good friend of mine. He, of course, works at WWE behind the scenes now, but Kidman was, he and I were roommates on the road for several years, and we always had a great time. Gosh, let's see who else. There's so many of them I could think of that would be, such great characters. Disco is always a riot. The great thing about Disco is that Disco's the kind of guy that and this was the case when we were, and I know Disco and I started about the same time, so I've known him my whole career. He's still a good friend, but Disco's the kind of guy that you can pick on, and you can really take verbal jabs at him all day long, and God bless him, he never ever really takes it personal. He'll just laugh and let it roll out his back, So, gosh, let's see, who else out of that group would be somebody that I'm trying to think. Just trying to think of the guys that I always thought were great characters without trying to be characters.
Could you live in a house with Flair?
You know what? I mean, yeah, I think so. Because it's great, and I can honestly say it, and this is one of the things of my career that's been a disappointment to me, that I've never really gotten the chance to know Rick. And of course, we worked together for years, but everybody has their clicks, and I was never really in that that level of just we work together. And but the times I've been around him, the thing I do like about Flair is that he's like Dusty. I mean, there's still going to be Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair, but when the everyday life, the volume is turned way down. So which is kind of nice. But the volume, they can turn the volume up very quickly when they need to. So, gosh, I'm trying to who else in WCW that I really like I said, Terry Taylor would be a fun one, because Terry Taylor has such a great quick wit and kind of dry sense of humor at times. Very entertaining day to day to be around as far as just conversation. So yeah, and like I said, there's some obvious choices I could make that I'm sure everybody would know, but those are the ones that to me would be more the unique ones that maybe people wouldn't maybe expect to see.
And I just have one more question for you. Now, everybody who has seen your entrance in WCW, it's so memorable, and so for our listeners that weren't around watching wrestling at that time, go back to watch that. You had the blue lights during some of your matches, which the WWE brought back for Sin Cara for a while. But I'm just thinking, if you were ever to have participated in a WrestleMania match, what kind of monstrosity entrance can you think of?
Well, and once again, that goes back to the kind of my argument for the Glacier gimmick not being a failure was I was the first person to ever have let's face it, a huge dynamic type entrance like that. And now, everybody kind of has one interest kind of like that. but I was, there could only be one first, and I was the first, which was really cool. I would love to. I can honestly tell you, I'd love to be able to make a, surprise appearance at a Royal Rumble or a, Legends Battle Royal or something like that. One of these upcoming WrestleManias, one of these days. But because I could definitely see getting the costume kind of like, upgraded to, just a little bit with the times, just a little bit more, streamlined, along the lines of what you see with all the characters these days, the Marvel characters and all that. And then, bring that interest back. I think that interest would still hold up today. I really believe that.
Oh, well, you just watched WrestleMania from this past year and watch Triple H's Terminator entrance. Yeah. I was thinking Glacier the whole time, so.
Yeah, I keep throwing hints out there to him that I'm willing to come back and do like a battle royal or something, but I haven't gotten that call yet, so we'll see. But yeah, that was one of the things too. I mean, once again, the interest was kind of an entity all in itself. I mean, I remember Arn Anderson telling me one time, he said, that interest is the biggest, blessing and curse for you, because it's great to have it and it looks awesome. The fans go nuts every time, and they did. I mean, that was the one thing that the interest anybody could have came out with that interest and they would have gotten probably, a good reaction, because the interest was, I mean, it was a very dynamic thing for that era. And, but the other negative side of that is like Arno had said, you almost have to walk on water just to be able to live up to the entrance, and, so that was the challenge. And I think that's typically like people who are critics of the gimmick, they look at that and they're like, oh, well, you had all this entrance and then, than just a mere mortal in the ring. Well, that's reality, man. I can only do so much, But the other thing too that I really liked about it was, the one thing that I remember Eric Bischoff said to us at the very beginning was, he said that I want this to be a video game come to life, and I want you guys to be the first heavyweights that wrestle a lot like cruiserweights. So I always tell people, go back and look at that. And now that's pretty much the style everybody does. Is that, high flying stuff, no matter how big you are. But we were really, you look back on it in '96, we were really the first, big guys, heavyweights that were really doing, some really innovative, unique things that had never been seen in wrestling. So that's the whole thing too. So, like I said, that's where I see the success of the Glacier gimmick is me and Chris Canyon, who was a dear friend of mine, and Ernest Miller, Brian Clark. We did kind of pave a little bit of that path. I like to think we did for innovation in the ring, because Canyon was a genius. He could come up with just, we should call him the innovator of offense. He could come up with just the most unbelievable stuff. And so we did. We brought a new, different style of wrestling to the ring, and for nothing else, for nothing else, that's what I'm really proud of, is that we brought a little something different to the industry during that time.
And you just brought his name up. He was next on the list here, but what an underrated talent Chris Canyon was.
Oh yeah. And I've heard people say too that Chris never really reached his full potential in the wrestling business. Knowing Chris as a close friend, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think in certain intervals, let's face it, anybody's career could have been, minus maybe Hulk Hogan, anybody's career could have been, bigger. but I think Chris, in the end of, when everything was said and done with his career, once again, there's always things that you wish you would have had a chance to do that you never got to do. But Chris, and I think the reason why we connected so much as friends and as colleagues in the business was because we both grew up and we were fans of wrestling from, as long as we could remember, and we got a chance to live our dream, and to make a living doing something that you truly, truly love. Man, I'm just telling you, it gets inside of you, and so that's the coolest thing is I look at, we all got a chance to do that and make some pretty good money, see the world, and entertain a lot of people, make a lot of people happy. And Chris was very dedicated to, going out there and giving people, like I always say, more than their money's worth. And it was very, very big for him to go out there and never have a bad match. And, like I said, we always have matches that we wish was better, but he went out there every single time he wrestled, and he cared that much, about giving the people, everything he had. And I can honestly say, I think everybody has those people that you can have great matches with, no matter what. He was one of those guys with me. We never came close to having a bad match, and I credit him for a lot of that.
So the WWE Network, Ray, has been a blessing in disguise, showing the old WCW matches and stuff like that. Almost like brings the career back a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I did the Legends of the Ring convention back in the fall of last year, and that's kind of what I met. I met this little kid, comes up to me, in the lobby. Got in there the evening before, and he comes up, running up to me. He's probably, I'm guessing, maybe 10 years old. And he says, "Glacier, where you been?" And so I had this conversation with this kid who obviously wasn't even born when I was on TV back in the 90s. But then I talked to his dad, and his dad said, "Yeah, he sees you on WWE Network." He said, "I just haven't really told him his reruns." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, let's just don't tell him that." Let's just let him think that I'm actually out there doing that right now. So it's been really, really nice to kind of get almost in a sense of second run, and I think the WWE Network is an awesome resource for fans, and especially for any up and coming wrestler. My gosh, if you pay $10 a month and you have an unlimited library to learn from. God, I wish I would have had something like that when I was coming along, early on. I hope that they continue. I hope it continues to have success, and I just think it's a great resource for fans and people in the industry.
This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show, and Glacier is joining us this evening. You know, Ray, you and I chatted very briefly yesterday. You got some pretty exciting things coming on in your life right now. Why don't you give a little bit of heads up of what's going on in your life, Ray?
Okay. I know we talked yesterday briefly. I've actually, I can't say a lot about it right now, but as far as there's a pilot for a TV show that I've been asked to be a part of, where hopefully they maybe get picked up. Will basically be like a Where Are They Now type show, where we kind of go find out what some of the stars of the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, are doing now outside of wrestling. And there seems to be a really big audience still for wrestling, and I think a lot of the wrestlers who make great names went on and did a lot of really cool stuff outside of wrestling. For example, Diamond Dallas Page. Page has his DDP yoga. Mark Marrow is one of my good buddies that's here in Orlando. He's an inspirational speaker now. I mean, he's changing. I always say he's not just changing lives; he's saving lives. I mean, kids and teenagers that were considering, suicide and stuff. I mean, they're just so moved by Mark's presentation that that they reach out to him, and then he puts them in touch with people that can help them get past their issues and things like that. So, yeah, there's a lot of great stories out there of what people that were in the wrestling business at one time, and maybe, most wrestlers still have some connection to the business, but they all, if you don't go to work as an agent or something, you move on with the next chapter of your life. So hopefully that'll be something that will come together, and we'll be able to share that with the the audiences out there, and hopefully it'll be something people will want to watch. I'll keep you guys up to date on.
So what would your role be on the show, Ray? What would you be doing?
Initially, the way it's been presented to me, that would quite possibly be like the host. I'd be the one that would go search out the person, and then kind of interview them and find out a little about what they're doing, and So hopefully it'll. And I think that maybe helps because, you have someone who's, not that I think I'm all that as a host, but I mean, just the fact that I've walked that walk too, so a lot of times I know the things to ask and a lot of times people, I'm hoping that will open up to me that maybe wouldn't open up so much to maybe just your average interviewer, and it's, but I'm excited for it. I think it will be a great thing simply because what they've indicated to me is they really want to showcase a lot of the success stories of what for people who've gone outside of wrestling and what they've done with their lives after that. And that doesn't necessarily mean commercial success, just even personal success with what they've decided to whatever path they've gone down. Because we all hear all the negative stuff, and there's a lot of really good stuff, and I think this show is really going to be designed to showcase a lot of that.
So, Ray, you're at liberty to talk about how you'd like to end the show. We chatted about it, like I said, very briefly, but I didn't know if you wanted to make that public or not.
Yeah. Actually, I know that when we talked yesterday, I wanted to just let everybody know too that most people, they obviously know what I did in the wrestling ring, but most people don't know that I've got my master's degree in health and wellness education, and that's something that's been it's a passion of mine. And my business partner Eddie Freeman and I have been working for about 2 years. I kind of started just basically being kind of like a health coach, for people. And I've got a lot of friends and family that, like so many people, everybody seems to want to lose at least some weight, and do something to get healthier and stuff like that. So I've been quietly building that business for the last couple of years, and I'm really starting to kind of kick it into full gear. I'd really ideally like to maybe try to, kind of progress into doing that full time, just simply because, like I said, health and wellness is a passion of mine. Helping people is a passion of mine. And what I'm trying to get the word out on, getting ready to launch a whole social media campaign, which I'm definitely hiring somebody to help me with that because I have no idea how to do all that. But yeah, it's just that, there's a certain brand of products that I endorse and I use personally. I've used for the last 2 years, and I've gotten a lot of really good success with it. But also anyone who wants to work like one-on-one with me, and like I said, my business partner Eddie's someone who's become a mentor to me, very big fitness enthusiast. He lives in Boston, and so we jet all over the country together, trying to help advise people, and just like I said, just get people on the path of feeling better and maybe losing some weight and just living a healthier life day to day, because at the end of the day, I mean, we've all seen it. I mean, you can have all the money in the world and you can have all the material possessions in the world, but if you don't have your health, none of that really matters in the end, And they'll say you can't take all that with you. So you want to be here as long as you can to enjoy it. So yeah, it's just just to, for me, it's a goal. And so if there's anybody that wants to work one-on-one with me personally, you can just go to my fan page for right now. So I'll definitely let you guys know when I'm getting ready to get my website up and running. And, I have my, Glacier Ray Lloyd fan page. Definitely just feel free to send me a personal message on there. I'll get back with you as soon as I possibly can. And, and that's what I always say, you can go into any GNC, you can go into any vitamin shop and buy supplements or meal replacement shakes and all that, but do you really know what you're getting? And so anyone that is really serious about it, wants to work with me and let me, coach them one-on-one and just advise them on, this is something that like I said, I went to school, I studied it. When I was a teacher, I taught health education, I taught wellness education. I was former fitness director of the Atlanta Athletic Club right before I went to WCW, and that's one of the most prestigious country clubs in America. And I was a fitness director there. So I proudly can say that I know what I'm talking about, and I want to.
And you know what, Ray?
What's that?
Ray, it's not like you haven't coached before, right?
Yeah, exactly. I got a little experience coaching. And if it takes putting on the bus turn cap to kind of get somebody motivated, I can do that here and there too.
Yeah, you can.
But I can honestly tell you, I absolutely had so much fun doing the bus turn character because it really was not a character. I mean, I coached football in high school, and I just took that gimmick and I just put all these characters that I had played for and coached with, and just came up with that gimmick. And but it was very easy to do because of the fact that that it was I had some experience with that. So it was a lot of fun. But But who knows? The Coast Bus Turn may resurface again one of these days. Who knows?
You never know, right? So, Ray, what do you got coming up? I mean, are you doing any conventions? Are you going to be at any wrestling promotions or anything to make an appearance? Or what's going on with you?
Absolutely. I'm in the process. I live in Orlando right now, Orlando, Florida, but I'm in the process of moving where I'm going to be splitting time. I'll be mostly in Atlanta these days, but still, spending some time in Orlando just simply because my mom's in Atlanta and she's getting a little older and she has some health issues, so I want to be closer to her. But I'm booked for the New England Fan Fest, which is coming up the last weekend of June, up in the New England area, which is.
I tell you what, I saw the roster of that, Ray, and it's absolutely phenomenal. All the guests that are going to be at that show.
I know, and that's for some guy who's supposed to be a failure on that roster. But that's the funny thing too. Like I said, I look at once again, it was kind of a flash of the pan, but somehow most people still remember Mantar, even though he was on about 2 shows. Back in the day. But hey, you know what? He's still memorable, But yeah, I'm really excited to be doing the New England Fan Fest. And I love the Fan Fest for the obvious reasons, but it's a really good time for me and us as the wrestlers to it's a reunion for us too, because we're spread out all over the world, and it's just nice to be able to see some friends and just reconnect and catch up and shoot the breeze a little bit. It's always nice to do that. But then I'm booked for WrestleCade in Charlotte coming up at the end of the year, which is another one that's become a really nice fan fest type of event. So yeah, and I'm sure I'll pick up a few in between those here over the summer and everything. So yeah, I'm still going to be out there. I'm still going to be being visible and I always say that any wrestling fans that are definitely if you enjoy the wrestling industry, take time to go to some of the conventions and fan fest, because it is really a great chance to get up close and personal with the people who've come through the wrestling industry over the decades before, and it's just a great experience. It's a great experience for us too, because like I said, I was a fan first, so for me without the fans I don't get to live my dream, so I'm so thankful that we have wrestling fans, and I personally believe wrestling fans are the most dedicated fans of all sporting fans, because there's been times in the wrestling industry really, really didn't merit the support of the fans, and the fans always stuck with us. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the New England Fan Fest, and just keeping my name and face out there, and trying to represent the wrestling industry as good as I can.
Yeah, Ray, how do your fans keep in touch with you? Because we all know you are Glacier.
Yeah, and once again, my fan page, I got a Facebook fan page, which is it's just Ray Lloyd Glacier or Glacier Ray Lloyd. I can't remember which one's one of them. But if you type in those 3 words, you'll find my fan page. And I'm getting ready, like I said, I'm actually getting ready to hire someone to help me with all the social media stuff because, social media is not going away. So I gotta get in the game, And so we'll be putting out a new website coming up that will be geared mainly towards my health coaching, business there and service and I hope it's something that like I said, people that and I always tell people if you don't feel like it's something that you need, you probably know somebody who needs it and who may not take the first step on their own. Encourage them to send me a message or you send me a message on their behalf and let's talk to them together. I mean, that's the hardest part of any journey is the first step, and that's where I'm here to say, let me help you take that walk, and lose the weight, get healthy, whatever it is, let me help you, so.
Well, I sent a little hint there about your Twitter handle.
Yeah.
You can't forget about telling everybody about Twitter.
Yeah, my Twitter. I'm still, like I said, I'm still trying to grasp all that. It's just I am Glacier. That Twitter, I am Glacier, I am Glacier, Twitter, however it goes. As you can tell, I'm not well versed on that, but yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm trying to kind of grasp all that and just keep myself out there and stay relevant to the industry and like I said, I take it really seriously, trying to be a goodwill ambassador for the industry because I feel like the industry's been unbelievably great to me, and that's the least I can do is represent the industry well.
Well, Ray, you're a goodwill ambassador for humanity. I mean, it's a pleasure always having you on the show, and like I said, you're one of the classiest guys out there. So we are proud to have Glacier as a friend of the show, and again, I hope we get you on again sometime soon and get to talk to you as we find out a little bit more about what's going on with you and your new adventures.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure to come on the show, and you guys are always, so respectful and nice to me, so I really appreciate it. So thank you.
You're very welcome. So, Ray, have a great evening, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, guys. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon.
Ray Lloyd, Glacier, Coach Buzz Stern, joining us again in another great conversation with him. We're always very appreciative of his time, so we thank Ray for stopping by this evening. Before we get to our next guest, Zane, we do have a few minutes so we can talk about this last weekend because VP Zane Paisley made his professional wrestling debut. He got in the squared circle in Marion, Indiana for Intense Championship Wrestling and made his debut as the ring announcer.
Yeah, no bumps.
Was it everything you thought it would be?
I had a blast, and I'm itching to do it again. I really am. So it was. Are you sure we were in Marion and it wasn't Fort Wayne? Because I think
I'm pretty confident it was Marion, and I'm pretty sure you've been razzed a few times for your Fort Wayne comment.
I think that was my only real botch. The only other thing that happened was the first wrestler that I introduced was the wrong guy. I had it right on my card. They just came out wrong, and I realized who it was, so I quickly switched it up. But it was
being the professional so that you are, Zane, you made the save.
Yeah, I tried. So no, I had guys like our friend, the franchise Troy Miller, and I had another guy named El Diablo de Oro, both wanting me to take bumps. So I told him no, I wasn't going to do it on my first night, but maybe I've got a scenario played out in my head whenever they're going to have the Boogeyman there in July, and I wouldn't be shocked if I ate some worms that night.
Well, rumor has it, VP, that you possibly could be announcing at the next show, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, whatever.
And the Monster Abyss will be at that show.
What's that?
So the Monster Abyss will be making his appearance.
Well, that's funny, because isn't the Monster Abyss going to come on our show, too?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Monster Abyss will be coming on our show. In fact, we've got some great guests lined up to come on the show here in the next few weeks. Monster Abyss is here next week. Mm-hmm. He'll be here in hour number 1. Jock Sampson, local Ohio, West Virginia wrestler. He's a character, Zane. You're going to have a great time with Jock Sampson, trust me. I've interviewed him before on print, and he's just a doozy. So be prepared. Rosie from Superhero fame will be here joining us the 19th, along with Oxmaker Jr. and the Russian Brute.
Hey, time out, Rick. Isn't Rosie Roman Reigns' brother or cousin?
They're related. I just don't know. I don't remember how. I don't know if they're cousins or not. I don't know. I don't think they're brothers, though. The 26th, okay. Dan the Beast Severn makes his return again. Another one of our favorites will be rejoining us again, and he's something to talk to, believe me. And Junhado will be making his debut for us as well. The 2nd of June, Headbanger Thrasher has come into the house. It's Tag Team Wrestling Night as the second hour of the Elite. Tone C, Calhoun, and Killer will all be joining us in hour number 2. And I've got an announcement to make. I don't have the date signed yet, people, ZP, but the greatest man who ever lived is going to be coming on the Undisputed Wrestling Show. Austin Aries will be joining us.
Oh, very nice.
So as soon as I get a date, Undisputed Wrestling Show fans, we will, by all means, get that up and post it. So be looking out for Austin Aries down the road as well. Again, go to the T-Shirt World Order site. You've got your opportunity to get $5 off of a shirt, preferably an Undisputed Wrestling Show shirt, but enter in freeze. And we talked to Glacier. It's kind of cold in here. Freeze and get $5 off of your order. ZP, I have not watched any professional wrestling yet this week, but I'm hearing Raw was pretty good.
Raw was one of the best of the year so far.
I'm anticipating it then.
And there's a great debut on there. I'm not going to let you know anything other than that. And I am right. Rosie, who is coming on our show very soon, is the brother of current WWE superstar Roman Reigns.
So he is brothers. Okay, very good. Very good. So what news do we have that we want to chat here in the next few minutes before I have to make my departure, ZP? Any big wrestling news that needs to be discussed between us?
Well, I don't think we've ever talked about the curb stop being banned.
Yes, is it kayfabe being banned or is it being banned?
It's not been on any of the site. It hasn't been mentioned on television that it's banned, and they haven't teased that he's going to use it. It's not like the punt that Randy Orton did that is banned in storyline form. No, they've just told him to stop using it, and they haven't mentioned it since then. And
somebody's been hurt from this, probably.
Well, I haven't heard of anybody getting hurt, so no, I think that and I'm being serious here, I think that finally somebody Googled curb stomp and finally saw the movie American History X, which popularizes the term curb stomp, and it's very disturbing. And I think that they saw that and said, "Ooh, that's what our champion uses." So I think somebody
like they could have renamed it or something. I mean, they renamed. I mean, example: Big Show had his weapon of mass destruction, and they ended up turning it to be his punch. What do they call it now? The knockout punch. Oh boy! Yeah. But it was the weapon of mass destruction, and obviously there was some offense to using that term. But he is still using the move. He just changed the name. Why can't Seth go by a different name with it?
I don't know. That's just what they've eliminated that move basically. So
very, very interesting indeed. What else in the wrestling world do we need to chat about real quick, ZP, before I let you go?
Well, without
me go, I should say.
Without giving you any spoilers for last night, what are your thoughts on Neville's rise in the WWE?
You know what? I've had concerns about Neville going into WWE, not from a talent standpoint, but it seems like a lot of these NXT guys, they're on fire down in NXT, and then they get to the bigs, and all of a sudden they have to reinvent them again. When you look at Big E, how much he's changed quite a bit since then. The only one who's really staying true to character is Bray. maybe Bo Dallas to a point, I guess, but it just doesn't seem like the smaller guys get the proper push. But I really like how they come out of the gate with Neville so far. They're getting some high-profile, people to work with. He's just a phenomenal talent. I mean, I enjoy watching him. I just hope he can continue getting the promotion he deserves and can rise up the ranks. They don't need to shove him down our throats or anything, but give him slow doses and let him rise the ranks naturally. And I think he'll be a great asset to this roster.
Well, and I think them putting him in a fairly high-profile mid-card feud with Bad News Barrett, or King Barrett, as we say now, is a really good idea. And I love his entrance. It's something different, something cool. And whenever they introduce him, they say the man that gravity forgot, the new sensation Neville. So I really like that. I think it's great. I just wish he still had a first name.
Yeah, that has always bothered me when they did that. I still wish Cesaro was Antonio Cesaro. I still wish, who's the other one that Big E could be Big E Langston again. I mean, I don't understand, I guess. They develop the characters with the names that they have, and then they drop them for no reason at all. So I don't understand, but, I guess when I can be paid the big bucks to be part of creative and part of that marketing machine in the WWE, then maybe I'll get my say. You know what, Zane, at this time, it is time for your prophet to depart the premises. Zane Paisley now goes to hour number 2. Zane be talking to Abominable CPA. Zane, take it away.
Well, this is the Undisputed Wrestling Show, brought to you by Angry Marks Podcast Network, where you can listen to all the best professional wrestling and mixed martial arts podcasts. We have new episodes every day, so check us out. If you go to iTunes and you hit subscribe, it will be downloaded to your listening device every single day. There's awesome new podcasts out there. All of our listeners, we have Mother's Day coming up on Sunday, so please remember to go out and get something for your mother. Speaking of your mother, do I have the Abominable CPA on the line?
What's that supposed to mean? Wow,
we were just I'm to wish their mother a happy Mother's Day on Sunday.
I'm my mom's favorite wrestler, so I guess it's kind of appropriate.
So you have one other fan other than me, huh?
Yeah, I have a grand total of 3 fans. I have you, my girlfriend, and my mom. Although my girlfriend is probably questionable. If we broke up tomorrow, she'd be like, "No, I like Habib better."
All right, listeners, we have with us one of my favorite wrestlers and his grandmother's favorite wrestler from Pro Wrestling Syndicate. We have the Abominable CPA. CPA, how are you today?
I'm fine. I'm a little sleepy, but I guess that comes with the post-tax season hangover, where I'll have like 1 or 2 little party nights, and then it takes me like about 10 months to get over them.
Oh my!
Yeah.
So tell us what's going on at Pro Wrestling Syndicate. I know that your general manager, Mick Foley, he's been tearing stuff up there. Doesn't he have some special challenge match coming up soon for some of the competitors there?
Oh boy, there's a lot coming up. I mean, just we on May 23rd in Rahway, New Jersey, we have the Double Trouble Rumble. That's already looking ridiculous. And then on June 6th, we have Supercard, and they've already announced about, 6 or 7 people for that, including Magnum TA, Baron von Raschke. I mean, it's already an actual veritable who's who of wrestling as far as, just legendary names of the past. So yeah, the next 2 months are looking completely ridiculous for TWS. So if you can find a way to get your hands on that, be sure to.
So coming up May 23rd in Rahway, New Jersey. Let's go back. Didn't you just have A legendary tag team partner. Some would say a Hall of Fame tag team partner.
He is actually a Hall of Famer. Yes, I teamed up with, as I redubbed him, the Living Ledger, Larry Zbyszko. Teamed up with him 2 Saturdays ago in a losing effort, unfortunately, to the Aesthetic Enterprise. But it was quite an experience. Larry had contacted TWS promoters about the possibility of him not having any proper wrestling gear, so I hooked him up with a pink button down, a clip-on tie, and some nice slacks.
Okay. I so need to get out there to New Jersey to see this live, because we can watch it through the interwebs, or if you're in one of the great cities that have them on your local station. But I just love that PWS has current class WWE Hall of Famers dressing as their wrestlers. I just think that's amazing, and I think that's awesome, and you should be so proud of that.
Yeah, it was a hell of a moment, I'll say that. Again, unfortunately, it was a losing effort, but I mean, realistically, what are the odds of one of my fellow PWS roster members? Because as I told you last time, this is the 3rd or 4th time I've found myself in a situation where I felt out of my league, judging by the other people in the match, and pretty much every time that happens, usually within 3 minutes of the match ending, he'll come up to me and say, "So, if I told you 5 years ago that you were going to be teaming up with Gangrel, wrestling EC3, wrestling Justin Gabriel, teaming up with Larry Zbyszko, what would you have said to me?" And it's always the same thing, not in a million fucking years. So yeah, it's one of those moments every time, and it never gets old, believe me. I mean, it's the only downfall to it is that ultimately I'm always going to feel like I'm not doing enough. I didn't do well enough. I didn't, again, I feel out of my league, because I'm like, well, I've been doing this for less than 2 years, and here I am, buying clothes for Larry Zbyszko. Like, what am I, where do I get off putting myself to such a standard, and whose idea was this? But it's, it was one of those things. I actually finally got like a picture with someone that I shared a ring with. I mean, there's like photographer pictures, but this time I got like an honest to goodness picture of me standing next to him posing for a picture, as opposed to just the picture that I'm pretty sure you saw of me and Gangrel holding hands. Complete chance picture, but yes, it does exist. It's definitely out there.
See, my lingo, those are called mark photos, because I'm the mark in all of them. But
I remember you messaged me and you said, if you have any mark photos of you in EC3, hit me up with them.
Well, hey, tell me about that's I know a little about it, but tell our listeners about the suicidal 6-way title ladder match that's going on the 23rd, because I am super excited about this.
Well, PWS, they've done good by me this whole time, and then I think once, I lost to EC3. I was instrumental in Larry Zbyszko losing a big return to the ring for him, and he told me what might be his last match ever. I know every wrestler says that, but yeah, he told me it might be his last match ever. So we'll see what size of grain of salt we can take that with in the next 6 months. PWS management has decided to tip the scales against me and push my back against the wall and put me in a ladder match. Now, I don't know if you've seen any extensive footage of my matches, but height, not really my thing. It's a combination of nerves and usually a guy who wrestled earlier in the match's body oil. But ultimately my climbs to the top rope usually result in me leaving the top rope very, very quickly. But yes, CPA will get his, I think this is the third crack at the TWS, the Suicidal Six-Way title. It'll be CPA, Drunken Swashbuckler, Anthony Bowens, former, the last champion, Bobby Wayward, Colt Cabana, and Habib from the Car Wash, the current, now two-time champion, in a ladder match. To say I was a little taken aback when I saw the announcement for that match would be a bit of an understatement.
Well, hey, tell us about the Suicidal Six-Way title. Obviously, all of these, whenever you defend this championship, then it's in a six-way match.
Right. When I joined up with TUWS, they usually had like kind of, scramble matches on every show, and eventually, at the time they had something, the Tri-State title, which I guess was, I think, the three primary states that TWS has run out of since 2007 when it opened was New Jersey primarily, New York a handful of times, and Connecticut a handful of times. So it's Tri-State title. And I guess at some point in September of 2013, they decided that since the Suicidal Six-Way matches are actually really big attractions on the shows, they would just kind of manufacture a title for it. And so that title is defended on basically every PWS show, and it's a pretty popular item on the TV shows as well. So yeah, every match is in some sort of six-man format. The combinations of participants are usually borderline ridiculous, just borderline unbelievable. But yeah, they're usually fun matches. I'm not really as into the car crash style of wrestling as I was when I was younger, but these are usually actually fun, and they flow well and they make sense to an extent. So yeah, it's usually the big thing in wrestling over the past, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years has been the "This is awesome" chant, and I'd say 9 times out of 10, the "This is awesome" chant happens during those matches. Not that that's something necessarily you have to strive for every time you wrestle, but yeah, those do happen frequently for the Suicidal Six-Way matches.
So is the Drunken Swashbuckler going to share some of his rum with the CPA during that match to get you to loosen up a little bit?
I guess we'll see. I mean, if my tie falls off and then maybe like my backup tie gets lost in the laundry or something, I'm gonna need something to get me through the match. So we'll see how the events play out.
Well, and so one of the participants in this is a fairly well-known guy named Colt Cabana. So if you're listening to our podcast, you've probably heard his podcast too. And I think he'll just be returning back from a trip from Japan, so maybe the CPA can catch him while he's a little jet lagged.
That would be nice. I mean, he has a little bit of an edge of experience over me, but just a bit. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, the major, I think, the centerpiece of this match is whether CPA can actually climb a ladder and not shit himself or just quit halfway up. I mean, we might have our first ever tap out in a ladder match. we'll have to make it a furious 5-way or something because CPA just can't handle heights. We'll see. I've been at work. We have like a really small step ladder at work, and I've been purposely stacking 11 by 17 legal paper in higher places, kind of psyching myself out for it. So we'll see. I'm going to try my absolute best to overcome that psychological hurdle that is being higher than 7 inches off the ground. We'll see.
Well, and this is a stacked card, really.
Yeah.
In one of the opening matches, it's Sanjay Dutt versus Eddie Kingston versus Nikos Rikos in a Triforce match. So I'm going to guess that's a 3-way match.
Yep. Yep. Actually, I think that was just announced today. Nikos Ricos just debuted, I think, at the March show. He was a very successful chiropractor in Sparta, Greece, and he moved to America to seek out some opportunity, and unfortunately he got stuck being a busboy at a restaurant in Sparta, New Jersey. So he's here to realign some spines, and thankfully I'm nowhere near him at this point in time. So
he should try to work a program with Sean Stasiak. He's also a chiropractor, but I think I'm 100% sure that he is licensed. So maybe they can work a program together to get each other adjusted better.
Maybe Sean Stasiak can take him under his wing so he doesn't have to keep working at shitty restaurants in New Jersey.
Yeah, make him, give him a job for cleaning the towels after they clean the tables off or something. So, also on that show, Chris, this is a semifinals match for the TV title tournament. It's Chris Payne versus the lifeguard, and Ashley Mazzaro is going to be there with the lifeguard.
Yes, Ashley Mazzaro is a lifeguardette, I guess you call her. I don't know. I don't know what the female nomenclature for lifeguard is. I guess she's his. What was the CJ Parker? Was her name on the show? Pamela Anderson.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Good job.
So that was just a wild guess. Yeah. So she's at CJ Parker. Only presumably not going to get. She's not going to be coming out to congratulate the winner of the Double Trouble Rumble unless it's lifeguard.
Also in the other semifinal match for that, everybody's favorite video game hero, Starman, is taking on Brian Myers, who I believe most of our listeners would know him as former WWE star Kurt Hawkins.
Yes.
So that should be another great match. I'm just amazed by this lineup here. Amazing Red versus Kevin Matthews, and that's the first time they've ever fought together.
That's gonna be interesting.
Why do you say that? Give us a breakdown.
Well, obviously Amazing Red is primarily, like a high flying type guy. And Kevin Matthews is probably about a foot taller than him and probably outweighs him by about between 50 and 70 pounds, I guess. I'm not really 100% sure on that. But I've seen Kevin Matthews do a few dives over the top rope, so it'd be interesting to see if Kevin Matthews actually attempts that on Amazing Red, and what the cleaning crew is going to look like to get him off the floor if Kevin Matthews does successfully land said dive over the top rope.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And the PWS tag team title match, Reality Check is the challengers, and the champions, two of my favorite guys, the Handicapped Heroes. And if our listeners haven't taken a minute to watch, 13 minutes to watch the new mini documentary out about them, definitely go check that out. It's inspirational stuff. But I can't wait till the Handicapped Heroes make their heel turn at PWS, because they work as awesome heels too. So
really,
yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen. Wow.
Yeah, they do some funny stuff. If you go back and watch some of Gregory Irons' work with Veda Scott in what is AIW, whatever.
AIW,
yeah, the Cleveland. He's an amazing heel. He's really good. So.
Oh, okay.
In that big suicidal 6-way title ladder match, so it's kind of like Money in the Bank, but it's not an opportunity to maybe have a championship. No, you get that championship right there. And so the Double Trouble Rumble, I was actually just watching in preparation for our interview with Glacier earlier tonight. I happened upon a World War III from 1998 WCW where it had the 3 rings. This is going to be 2 rings. Now, do you know if they're going to be sitting exactly next to each other, or are they going to be staggered like the World War III rings were?
Well, I'm assuming they're going to be next to each other because
War game style?
We're also having a War game style match on this show.
Oh my!
Yeah, it's going to be. It's not really like. I'm looking at it now. It's going to be Balls Mahoney and Monsters Island against Bonesaw and 4 partners of his choosing.
Oh, that is on the site. I'm sorry, I skipped over that. That's amazing.
So, I'm going to guess they're going to be next to each other. I mean, it's doable. I mean, the Raleigh Rec Center isn't, it's not... Hold on, I'm trying to rack my brain for arenas that World War III was held at. Wasn't it? It was at a Vegas one at one point, right? I gotta be right about it. I hope so. I would just feel like a bad wrestling fan if I wasn't able to at least pinpoint that. Well, anyway, it's no MGM or Caesars.
Where one pay-per-view was held 18 years ago or 22, however long ago it was.
It's no MGM Grand Casino, but the Raleigh Rec Center is definitely big enough to hold 2 rings. I mean, it's going to be a bit, a bit of fun to figure out the seating arrangements and everything. But yeah, it's definitely doable. I'm looking forward to just seeing how the final product looks. And furthermore, I'm looking forward to seeing if anyone attempts the Nasty Boys pile driver onto someone in between the 2 rings.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping they don't because I think it was Fall Brawl 94. They did it to Terry Funk, and it looked like Terry Funk didn't land very well. But and then he subsequently got swallowed by the 2 rings. But yeah, I'm looking forward to just watching whatever ends up happening. And actually, it hadn't even. Wow. This is going to be rough. It hadn't even occurred to me that there was 2 rings in reference to the ladder match, and then so
it's not like they're going to set up that second ring right after your match. No, they're going to.
They should, but
up, so you better watch out, buddy.
Maybe we could be a pre-show match, and then afterwards they could put up the other ring. I don't know. It's going to be rough.
It's not going to be on the pre-show.
That's true.
He's on the poster, buddy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So that is going to be on May 23rd in Rahway, New Jersey. If our listeners want to check out more information on that, it's bedofnails with the Z.com, or if you just type in your search engine Pro Wrestling Syndicate, it'll take you there. General admission seats only start at $20. If you want to upgrade to a second row seat, it's only $25. And I'm sorry, but the front row seats are already sold out. But, and then coming up in June, I don't know if any matches have been set yet, but June 6th, which is a Saturday, it's going to be Mick Foley's 50th birthday party there. And it's also called Supercard 2015. I know they've announced your buddy Zbyszko is going to be there. Another Hall of Famer, Jimmy Snook, is going to be there. So, hey, if anybody lives within driving distance or plane flight distance or walking distance, definitely check that out. Baron von Raschke is going to be there. It's just going to be a packed card.
Well, we have people, I don't know how often they come in, but I know we have fans who come in from Scotland every so often. Again, I don't know how frequently they come in, but I know it's happened before. We also have people coming from Texas and stuff. So if you can afford the flight, I recommend you come because this show, I mean, Double Trouble Rumble looks ridiculous, but Supercard, just judging by the people who are going to be making appearances there, it's going to be just outrageous. I mean, again, Magnum TA, I'm hoping, I was talking to someone about it, I think it would be hot if Tully Blanchard gets booked for the show too, and they choose 2 representatives to have an I Quit match or something like that. Huh. And also, Tessa Blanchard is also a part of our roster too, which for those who don't know.
Say. Tessa could be the conflicted referee for it.
Yep.
Yep. Maybe our listeners don't know. She is Tully Blanchard's daughter, but Magnum TA is her stepfather. So that would be amazing.
Yeah. So I'm glad you're on my level with that, because I thought I was crazy thinking that, but.
Well, also it's going to be Bully Ray or Bubba Ray Dudley, whatever you want to call him, is going to be there. Sabu. Bret Hart scheduled, Terry Funk scheduled, Just Incredible, those, and they still have, a couple more months to book more guys. Oh, yeah. Raven's going to be there. Oh man, I got to fly out there now.
Yeah, the only match that's been scheduled so far is Colt Cabana against Bully Ray is actually going to happen that night.
That would be a fun night to get out there.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you to watch to follow your career and follow a little bit of Pro Wrestling Syndicate while they're at it.
I do have a Facebook likey fanny page, whatever I don't know what people call it. It's the old, like, those pages from like 2009 where it said become a fan. And unfortunately, nobody ever actually turned into a fan. Yeah, I have one of those pages. It's just the Abominable CPA on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm at CPA Wrestles because CPA does wrestle.
Nice.
Yeah. And also, do you mind if I plug the TV show?
Oh, I was just going to ask that, especially the hashtag 4DVR movement.
Yep. PWS is on a very bold quest to become the number 4 promotion in North America. It's a pretty modest goal. I think it could, judging by the landscape of the independent wrestling scene, I think it's definitely 100% attainable, possibly exceedable, but we'll see about that. Anyway, PWS is on television. We're in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut area on WLNY, the channel that used to host Shotgun Saturday Night. It's channel 10 or 55 or channel 14 on RCN at 4:30 a.m. Sunday mornings. We're also on Philadelphia, 3:30 p.m. every Sunday on channel 66 Comcast and channel 29 Cablevision. We're on in Boston at 1 a.m. Thursdays on channel 23 Comcast or channel 83 RCN. We're on in Denver, 8 p.m. Friday nights on channel 56. And we just got our airtime started in Minneapolis, 9 p.m. Saturday nights on channel 17. I know we're going to be on in Maui at some point. I don't know when that's happening, but I'm very excited about that, and I'm hoping that Kevin Von Erich can hook us up with some plugs or something. I don't know.
Do you think that Greg Gagne is being consoled by watching CPA out there in Minnesota?
I genuinely hope so because, well, no offense to Greg Gagne, but his delivery was just slightly less monotonous than CPA's is, especially like Rambo Greg Gagne. Again, no offense, none taken, but yeah.
So what else is going on? Anything exciting with you?
I mean, I'm just trying to get on some outside shows. PWS runs but once a month, and sometimes it gets boring on weekends when they don't run shows. So CPA is trying to spread his seed PA around the independent scene of the Northeast and maybe elsewhere. CPA just made his in-ring debut in New York, in Queens rather, last month, and it was fun. In front of a sort of a hometown crowd. It was something new. Slightly smaller, significantly smaller crowd than PWS was used to, but it was still fun. I'm possibly going to be I don't know if I'm at liberty to just be shouting things out if I don't know if they're happening. But yeah, keep an eye out. I'll update the Twitter and the Facebook if things are actually going to happen. So, also my tie made it onto the Bad Wrestlers Exposed Facebook page. So, as the great Vince Russo said, the only kind of bad publicity is no publicity. So there's that.
Are you familiar with Congo Kong? He's the IWA Mid-South champion. He works a lot for Juggalo. Anyway, he's a huge 450-pound guy that can fly through the air, do planchas. Well, it's just funny because he makes gear, and he makes gear for every time you see Rhino on NXT right now, he's wearing gear that Congo Kong has made for him.
Oh, okay.
But he was on Trash Bag Wrestlers or one of those kind of Facebook pages. And it's like, seriously, this guy makes gear that you see on WWE TV, and so all those things are hilarious to me because
yeah. I don't really like a lot of them because I mean, if you really read into them, most of them have some sort of agenda with some promotion that they either don't like or really like.
Mm-hmm.
But I just happened to stumble across those pictures. Where is this guy based out of? Like Minneapolis? No, Detroit.
Well, actually, he's from Michigan originally, but I believe he lives up in Fort Wayne right now, and he's great. He travels all around the Midwest, up into Toronto. I don't know. He's one to watch. He's great. I'm hoping that when Global Force actually starts running some shows, that he'll be a part of their group. So
now, I mean, if I'm going to be truthful, I do keep up with modern wrestling, but most of the wrestling I actually actively watch is at least 20 years old because I'm in the midst of watching every WCW show from 1994 on, including Saturday night episodes. But anyway, what was I saying? So the Global Force thing? They have what, 2 live events booked, right? Something like that.
I know. We might have to get our producer Killer Kev in because he's got most of the knowledge. But as far as I know, that they've got some minor league ballparks booked.
Okay.
Is that right, Kev? That they've booked some minor league ballparks. So, but they have.
That sounds about right to me.
I did get an update from our chat room. Global Force is doing shows all summer long in AA baseball stadiums. So far, they've got 2 different on sale.
I think they had one show in Jackson, Mississippi, and another one in Hendersonville or something like that. Yeah,
Hendersonville is where I believe is where Jeff Jarrett lives.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure that Jeff Jarrett's not an idiot. He's gonna put on good shows and hopefully make a success out of this. So, and
yeah,
I've been to Hendersonville. That is where June and Johnny Cash are both buried. So. Yep. Yes.
Well, they had that Jackson song too. So it's a good karaoke number if you can find a girl to sing it with you, I guess.
Yes. I think actually my next karaoke song I want to do "Goodbye Earl" by the Dixie Chicks.
I'm not really 100% familiar with them, but I trust that you'll knock it out of the park. Oh, speaking of which, how was your announcing debut? You looked really, really sharp.
Yeah, ICW was a lot of fun. It happened to be the same night as the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, which, I'm not the promoter, so I don't need to make any excuses, but just my feeling is from some of my friends that normally go to their shows with me, they were going to different boxing parties, so I'm thinking that might be part of the reason why they didn't draw real huge. But next month, they've got the Monster Abyss is going to be there, and then in July, the Boogeyman's going to be there. So I'm really looking forward to working with those guys again. And it was incredibly hot with my suit on.
Yeah, so they're definitely bringing you back.
Oh yeah. We've got a standing appointment with them. So
cool.
Yeah,
you should do like a live live recording for the. If you did it already, I apologize, but you should do like a live recording for the Undisputed Wrestling show from there.
I don't know. I would think I would probably get confused. You know, one of the snafus that I had was so I announced the first match, and then I went back to where the sound guys were that were running sound, and all of a sudden I'm just kind of sitting there. All of a sudden I'm looking up at the ring. The referee's motioning to me to ring the bell. I had no idea that I was also the bell ringer, or as Jamie Noble likes to call it, the bell keeper. But now I know that is part of my duties as the announcer, is that I get to ring the bell. So
okay,
and it was an actual bell with an actual little hammer. It wasn't, me holding my iPhone up to the microphone to simulate a bell.
Oh, it wasn't you just doing an Apollo Creed and going ding ding into a microphone or something like that?
No, I did not have to do that. I felt like a pro timekeeper. I'm wondering if next time if I should actually keep the time on, I announced these 10-minute time limits and 15-minute time limits, but I didn't see anybody with a stopwatch out there. So, but it was a lot of fun. They even did a dusty finish where I got to announce new tag team champions, and then the referee discovered an international object, and so he reversed the decision. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay, that kind of makes me think a little bit. Like, imagine instead of ECW, just say, when they were around in their prime, he's using tables and he's using this. Like, I'd imagine ECW probably would have stuck around a lot longer, and they probably would have had a lot more of a global reach if they would have called them international objects.
Yes.
I think they'd still be in business today because you watch TNA shows now, and they knock it out of the park in these shows in England and Scotland and everything. I think, if the shit hit the fan, they could have outsourced their product to some other place. As long as they used international objects, they'd be more of an appeal elsewhere. So it could have worked. I don't know.
That is so true. So maybe you should suggest that to what's his name, Sam Roberts over there in Pro Wrestling Syndicate. Then he needs to just refer to them as international objects.
Sam doesn't seem like the type of guy who would. He's far too seasoned to take take direction from a jamoke such as myself. Although he. The episode where Gangrel and I teamed up against the Static Enterprise, he seemed to think that I had it on my own. So I don't know. Maybe he thinks a little better than me than I assumed he did. Time will tell.
That's awesome. Everything's going great. It was a lot of fun, and I plan to do it. See, we've worked out a gimmick with them where I take my two sons and Rick takes his son. So we've decided that we're going to switch on and off. So maybe Rick might do it in June, and then I'll do it in July. Or Rick might have a different thing going on there. So I'm not sure. He still has to decide something. So maybe I'll be the permanent ring announcer, at least temporary permanent. So. Who knows? It'll be fun. Whatever we end up doing. So
maybe Rick could be the assistant timekeeper in case you get into a little of a bind and things get a little too crazy. He could be the assistant timekeeper just in case. You never know.
You never know.
Oh no! You ring the bell. He actually keeps the time.
Yes. Well, and I think part of my duties is to welcome everyone there. And then tell them it's intermission, and then welcome them back from intermission. I didn't have my own theme song, so I think I need to come up with my own theme song.
Wow. They didn't give you entrance music?
No. And I don't know if I'm trying to put myself over too much, but,
come on, man. most indie shows, they like little kids in the crowd who get picked out for contests have their own entries. I was watching. I know it's not really the same scope. I was watching Super Brawl 5 from 1995. Ric Flair and Vader both bought tickets to the show, and they both had entrance music. So, never mind that. You get your own entrance music, Zane. That's what kind of low grade stuff is this? You should come out to something completely absurd too, like Lionel Richie or something. I don't know.
This is actually my some people call me Rocket Man, so I was thinking about Elton John, but I think Rocket Man starts off too slow. And most of their matches are on Saturday night, so I'm thinking Saturday night's all right for fighting. Yes.
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you.
That's perfect. You could start like doing T-shirts and shit. Come on. I know getting a big break in wrestling is hard, but getting a small break isn't. And I'd say you'd be a merchandising machine if you could just get your own entrance music. You could be Saturday Night Zane Paisley or something ridiculous like that.
All right, CPA, I'm getting to go home, Q, so we need to start wrapping it up. I know you wanted to plug once again how all of our listeners can watch Pro Wrestling Syndicate on their television if they live in any certain cities. So can you hit those cities again?
Of course. You can watch TUWS on television. If you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, you can catch us on WLNY, the old Shotgun Saturday Night Network. That'll be on either Channel 10 or 55 or Channel 14 on RCN. It's on at 4:30 Sunday mornings. If you live in Philadelphia, you can catch us every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. on Channel 66 Comcast or Channel 29 Cablevision. If you're in Boston, Thursday mornings at 1 a.m. on Channel 23 Comcast or Channel 83 RCN. In Denver, 8 p.m. Friday nights on Channel 56. And just starting recently, Minneapolis, 9 p.m. Saturday nights on Channel 17.
Excellent. And how can our listeners watch this in those cities?
The shows are put up pretty much they're put up after they're aired on WLNY because that's the first run of the shows. Usually they're put up on YouTube. I'd say anytime between Sunday evening and like Tuesday morning, but they're always inevitably put up on YouTube for people who are outside of our markets. I think the channel is Pro Wrestling Syndicate or PWS. I'm not 100% sure, but if you search us, that's usually one of the first. If you search us on YouTube, that's pretty much one of the first things that pops up is a recent TV episode, and then I think it's on a playlist, so you can just scroll through and find the latest one, or just watch them from beginning to end. It's up to you.
Awesome. So, Undisputed Wrestling Show fans, next week we've got the Monster Abyss is going to be joining us. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know if we'll get any good quotes out of Janice or not. The Monster Abyss. I'm really looking forward. I'm hoping that we get a run-in from his brother, Joe Parks. That would be amazing. We've also got Jock Sampson is going to be on them. Coming up on the 19th, we've got the superhero in training, former WWE star Rosie will be with us. And then on the 26th, we've got an awesome show. One of my favorite guests, a guy that will talk and talk and talk, and it's super entertaining, and we entertain those guys. Former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, former multi-time UFC champion, Dan the Beast Severn, with the most magnificent mustache in professional sports, will be on with us. So really looking forward to all these great guests, and we can hope that you guys listen in. And for all of our listeners, go to the UndisputedWrestlingShow.weebly.com, and you can listen to all of our archive shows, including the first episode with the Abominable CPA, where we talked a lot more about how his start in wrestling is. And also we had a returning guest earlier in this show. Glacier was on, and go back in the archives and listen to that episode too, where you can learn a lot more about the beginning of their careers. So, Yeah. Hey, anything you want to say before we head home?
Wonton and beef stew.
All right. Words of wisdom from the Abominable CPA. Well, thank you all the listeners, and a special thank you to the Abominable CPA. So,
hey, no problem. It was a fun chat.
Will Huckabee, for the Morningstar Will Huckabee, for the Prophet Rick Craig, and for the super producer Killer Kev. This is Das Wonderbeard, Zane Paisley. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.